I'm talking to you. I'm talking to you. So come on.
Okay, thank you, Pierce. Yeah, okay, I got some experiences to share. The first one wasn't actually a dream. It was when I was fully awake or pretty close to it. Interesting enough, well, for me anyway, one weird constant in my experiences is the phenomena that seems to stem from my wardrobe that sits in the left, just to the left of me when I'm laying on my bed. For example, it may change colours or shape, and the handles may glow, and all kinds of things of this nature. A few times I have had to open the doors and have a little peek inside, as it can be filled with light or strange noises. And as I say, these experiences tend to occur when I am awake generally. On this occasion, tiny marks began to appear on it, and they looked a little like burn marks. And one of them grew bigger than the others, and then an even more odd thing occurred. A hand emerged from the doors, and the doors were sealed at this point, and it was a hand bejewelled with many lavish rings. The hand itself was scaled, it was clawed, and the scaly skin was purple. Then it withdrew back into the wardrobe, and I would never get to see its owner, but I could imagine some sort of reptilian-like creature, and a purple one at that. And I was thinking later how I had the magic wardrobe. Joni could fill in the role of the witch, but instead of a lion, I had a purple reptoid, so it could be the sequel to that Narnia book.
Well, you're having your adventures, young man, and yes, you can talk to Claudia and Sandy, and they have similar experiences with the reptilians and whatever. Some people see them quite well, and yeah, it's very real. And the burn marks on the clothes, that's probably the individual that's haunting around your closet there, that's trying to burn you, you see. So sometimes I wake up with, and Claudia does too, we've talked about this, with bruises on her arms and whatever, because, you know, the forces that be here don't like what we're doing. And so, but they've committed themselves, but you're seeing what's going on there in your altered vision, if it's in the personal state here. Yeah, there's some people that do see these things all the time, and they're very sensitive to it. You can learn to shut that off, but you decide if you want to keep seeing it. Me, I don't really want to. I've seen it. I see it out of the corner of my eyes, but I don't really focus there. But again, I've known people that it's very adamant with them, and they're very bothered by it, and they see it. This one experience, this gal told me, she was sitting in bed and she saw a reptilian sitting next to her bed with a computer connected to her, and she's looking at him and saying, well, what are you doing? He goes, I'm controlling you. And so again, some people see these things, others don't, but they're around. They're all. It's all here. It's just if you see it or not. And this is where, you know, the personal consciousness is so close to everything that it only sees itself, and it only sees the world that it has made here. But you're seeing these things, and yeah, they're trying to scare you too in their own way. Yeah. Because you're with the real guys. They don't like this. They don't like us here.
Yeah, I find those experiences very interesting. So personally, I wouldn't want to shut them off, but I also am very wary not to focus too much upon them, otherwise it will detract slightly from my, my process of awareness. So, and here's another interesting experience as well. After the Skype yesterday with Charles, the Africa show, it seemed that it didn't end when it did, because after the Skype, I went straight to my room, to my bed, as I was a little bit weary, and I went into a semi-doze, a sort of a place between waking and sleep, and the Skype resumed. And Dwayne and Charles continued their dialogue for approximately, I would say, an hour or two. At one point, another voice would ask, "Is the Skype still going on?" And I think it was Ava, as she had the German accent with the words. And I would answer and say, "I think so, but I have stopped recording it." And then she responded again and said something along the lines of, "Oh good, I thought so, I could still hear them talking." And I can't quite remember what was said between Dwayne and Charles, and this can happen where sometimes I will hear dialogue and an exchange, but I can't quite get it filtered through to the physical self. Although I would have obviously been hearing it probably on a different level and a vehicle.
Well, that sounds fun, young man. So yes, you're very tuned into what's going on and you're paying attention. That's cool. So it's what we're doing continues on. Here it comes and goes, but more so on the real side, it continues on and to the reality to where you're completely aware of everything that's taking place, you see. So, but no, that's fun. Yeah, thank you for sharing that. And that's, I'm sure that's an interest to many people because, again, as each person starts to pay attention, little by little, these things will unfold in them and they will become more aware. But again, it's a matter of attention. But you've done this before. So you're simply going through your part again and you're just getting better at it, which is great. That's why, that's why you're here doing this Skype. Thank you.
Okay, yeah, thank you. And here's another dream. In this dream, I was embroiled in an altercation with another individual. Watching from a discreet distance was a female, and then, after this altercation was resolved, she would proceed to follow me about. She was constantly altering her appearance. She seemed to not represent a threat or danger of any kind. Later on, I would have an entanglement with a large scorpion-like creature. At this point, my female follower, now in the current form of a wolf, would then attack this scorpion, and she assumed an equally formidable insectoid-like spiderish form. And so I would say, on waking up, the moral of this dream would be, don't go attacking me in my dreams, because I have a very capable female shape-shifting defender. At least on this occasion, anyway.
Yes, that's really good. Yes, it's one of the guides, and they can shapeshift according to we'll just say it's shapeshifting, but they can appear accordingly, and so yeah, she's keeping an eye on you. So if something comes up, she's there to help. So yes, we all have that as we do the new you. This is the real protection that people are looking for because it is about awareness. You see, it's not about ideas. In other words, people, get into groups or spiritual things thinking that, oh, well, God and the angels will protect us. Well, in a way, that's kind of true. It's true in its own way, but it just depends upon the awareness of the individuals. But now you have the real guides, and so they can do anything. So as you're going through your life, because they have the awareness to be in all places at the same time, you see, and this is how it becomes in you too. So when you have that total awareness, you are everywhere. So all of a sudden, it's just like I'm here, but I can be with everybody else at the same time, and they have experiences. Now, the personal self doesn't recall all of that, of course, but it's according to the awareness. So yes, you're proving the protection yourself very, very well. Those are great experiences to share. Yeah, this is what people want to hear. This kind of validates. First, they start off with reading about something, and eventually they start to experience it itself. This is where they prove it to themselves, you see?
Okay. Okay. Thank you. Yes. And another dream following on from that was another creature-related dream. This time, I was in the form of a female, and I was with a group, and we were deep underground in a system of caves. I'm not exactly sure what we were doing, but we were well prepped and geared, and this would indeed prove to be a good thing, as we were suddenly to encounter an army of insectoid-like monsters. They reminded me a little of the aliens in the Ridley Scott movies, in their poise and their movements. And then a battle would ensue. I never saw the finish of it, as the dream would then end.
So you're being prepared for everything, young man. You see, all of us are in our own way. Yes, because this is what we're dealing with. We're on this planet here, and it's run by reptilians, and underground are the Greys and other aliens which eat people, and they're like insects, etc. There's been many movies on these things, different so-called science fiction movies, but they're not really science fiction. They're very real, and it's just that most people don't see them, and this is where people become the effect of things where they don't recognize what's going on, just like the cancers and whatever start from the astral realm and come into the physical realm because of the tap lining and other effects, etc. So, but you're being prepared for this constantly because you're willing to go through it. And again, it's part of waking up to become more aware. See, that idea makes more sense than unfoldment or spiritual growth or all these things. Those things sound good, but they're a little bit funny. But you're constantly becoming more aware of what already is. That's the best part. It already is. It's not about growing something and am I growing or, am I getting bigger or will I go there or whatever. It's about becoming aware of what already is. And so this shows you that eventually you recognize everything is available. See? Everything, in even beyond what you can imagine. But again, the boys are putting you through certain things like a boot camp, like all of us, as we step up. We go through all this funny stuff and we kind of wonder, gee, what the heck's going on, because it doesn't always match our daily life. But we're in other dimensions, other levels, whatever. And this helps wake up that awareness to be more capable, you see. Yeah.
Okay, thank you, Dwayne. And my final dream of the day. I was being prepared with a group to move onto what I assume to be a different position. Maybe a shift to a different position in life, perhaps. And there was this door that needed to be passed through, and there was a narrow time window in which to do it. Oddly enough, in this dream, I was in the form of an upright walking wolf, a sort of werewolf, if you will. And at this door, I suddenly became concerned about the fact that the claws on my hands or my paws were too long and needed trimming. Of all the things to be concerned about at this door with its narrow time window in which to pass through, and I even began looking for some nail trimmers. In the end, however, I would look and notice that my claws had become an agreeable length of their own accord, and then I passed through this door just in time before the opportunity was lost, and rendezvous with the group on the other side. There were a few of the individuals in this group, unfortunately, who had not made it. And I had the idea on awakening that this demonstrated how distractions of the little self, which may seem very important to it, are on the face of it pretty irrelevant. And using the ridiculous example of being concerned about an aspect of my appearance and nearly forfeiting an opportunity to move onto a better position in life.
Wow, these are terrific. So you could make a series of movies here, young man. But what I see there, one aspect of it, the clause, in other words, to move, into a new position constantly, into a better position, you must become harmless. Okay, so this is the idea. So the wolf idea is kind of, like the werewolf idea. We can use our aggressive nature to help us focus, but at the same time, you're kind of recognizing that too in the clause, just like you're experiencing it in this position and what you've got this certain amount of time to do it. Well, again, you do, but you don't. It's interesting how it works, but just want to see if you'll do it, if you'll pay attention. So it's riveting your attention. But again, the clause idea is to where yes, animals have claws, but they also need discretion as to how they're going to use their claws. So, I've had many cats, and sometimes the cats, they use their claws too much, and they start, your hands and arms start to bleed, etc., because they're clawing you. And so as you become more aware, you start to use discretion in how you're going to kind of handle things. So that's what I see as the trimming of the nails, where you become more harmless, because really all these things, and I'll pull this in too, all these things that we have in this world, because there's so much fear bred in this world, we have atomic weapons, that destroy everything. So, in other words, if those that created these things are come at or assaulted in some way, they've got something to even annihilate themselves. Well, again, they have to go through the process of becoming harmless, because all these things that we have here, we don't need any of this stuff. None of it. Even bows and arrows and whatever. We don't need any of these things. It's just about awareness itself. So, yeah, that's kind of the point that you're going to there. And yes, again, people have their attitudes, and some people, they still want to do things in creation. So it's setting up this scenario where it looks like you're moving along, but really when you look at it overall, it's really your awareness, and you can bypass all that too once you become aware of this. So, but in the meantime, you go through the process to wake up and see what you're going through. So, I would say that we all have this aggressive nature in us, and it's just simply to recognize it. So, a step at a time, you kind of trim yourself down. You see, something along those lines.
Okay, thank you, Dwayne. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense, yes.
I'm talking to you. I'm talking to you. I'm talking to you.